Hello,
Can you
Doctor.
hear me?
Yes, please. Can you kindly do a brief intro of yourself?
Okay, so Genevieve Insadu, I'm a pediatrician with Holy Family Hospital, which is in Koko, in the Eastern region. Yes.
Thank you very much. I'd like Reverend Dr. Edem to also introduce yourself briefly.
Hello, good afternoon to all of us. So I'm Reverend Dr. Mrs. Edem Sopo, and a Reverend Minister, as the name suggests. I'm also an HR consultant with Dion and Nord International, and I'm a certified counselor. I think that should be all for now.
All right, thank you very much. So we would like to give ourselves just a few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, see participants joining us before we zoom in. In the meantime, Reverend, are you ready to start with us? We can screen share and then
Yeah,
as we buy time.
okay.
Yeah, try to screen share. Let's see.
Okay, so it tells me the host disabled screen share. I think I'm sharing now. Please, can you see?
Yes, please. I can see.
Okay. 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 So I think we are good.
Yes, I agree, and I think I can start.
Okay. So good afternoon again, and I'm happy to come your way on the Happy Home webinar series that we have been having for some time now. Today, we want to look at dealing with loneliness in a time of physical distancing. And as I mentioned earlier on, I'm a Reverend Minister with the Lost Pentecostal Church International, the Lakeside Estate branch, to be specific. I'm a certified counselor as well, and so a member of the Ghana Association of Christian Counselors and the Ghana Psychological Council. I'm also a relationship champion with a team called Prepare and Reach from the USA, and the executive director at Dion and Noid International with the HR advisory unit. I'm a lecturer as well. I'm married with 3 children. And today I'll be taking you through what we mean by loneliness. We'll have a brief intro, and then we'll look at the types that are available or possible. Then we'll look at what social or physical distancing is and how we can prevent loneliness. And once we do that, then we would have confronted the, the, the issue called loneliness in our lives, and then we'll conclude. So to start with, it is important to realize that A study was conducted in which there were 20,000 adults from 18 years and above, and it was surprising that many adults were found to feel lonely and disconnected or left out, misunderstood or devoid of meaningful relationships. Now, this means that one can feel lonely in any circumstance at any age, whether with people or not. Loneliness is also seen to be a soul feeling isolated from meaningful human connections, or feeling misunderstood or out of place. And I want to believe that at least we have all felt lonely at a point in our lives. And we would like to see the kind of people or the situations that can be described as a person feeling lonely. And so you can have a child who feels neglected or is abandoned, or has some social relational issues, feeling lonely. A single person, whether you're alone or living with others, can also feel lonely. You can be married with a spouse or probably with a spouse away, and you can experience moments or periods of loneliness. It could also be as a result of temperament. And you have elderly people who also can feel lonely depending on the situation in which they find themselves. And so again, loneliness is an unpleasant emotional response or social pain, as you may want to call it. It's a psychological mechanism that motivates all of us to seek social connections. It is often associated with an unwanted lack of connection and intimacy. You would think that once you are feeling lonely, you would be looking for company. But sometimes certain people feel lonely and they just want to be by themselves. And so we have loneliness overlapping sometimes with solitude. But solitude is a state of being apart from others, not necessarily, feeling lonely. And so there are two different types, or different um, definitions and experiences or situations that make loneliness differ from solitude. Now, loneliness can also be expressed in a number of ways. You can have a subjective emotion when you feel lonely in the midst of people. You can be surrounded by friends and family, or you're in a public place or in a group, but you feel lonely. And some of the causes could be that it may be spiritual, it may be social, it may be mental. You may have emotional issues or environmental factors. So there are many factors that can cause you or a person to feel lonely. Then we have what we call monophobia, which is the fear of being alone. There are people who just don't like a situation where they have to be left alone, or they have to, be on their own for one reason or the other. And such people usually experience times of loneliness. And there are others also who may be in a group but have this monophobia, and you will see them withdrawing or sitting by themselves even though they are in a group. It is amazing. And so we want to look at the types of loneliness. So when we talk about social loneliness, we are looking at the situation where you have you feel, for example, during this COVID-19 time, when we were asked to go on a lockdown or go on a lockdown, we found out that people were stuck at home and we didn't have physical interaction with other people. And this is the time we call, social distancing or physical distancing, which can sometimes cause social loneliness in some people. Then we have emotional loneliness, which is when you do not feel emotionally connected to the people around you. It usually comes as a lack of understanding and inability to relate to the people around us. And so you may be in a group or you may be in a home with other people around, but you do not feel emotionally connected to them. And so even though they are around and there may be activities going on, you would still feel lonely in a place like that or in a situation like that. Now, we have also what we call intellectual loneliness, and that is the inability to discuss things of importance or interest with other people, and it's quite similar to the emotional loneliness. You just find that there's a lack of intellectual compatibility, being able to have, um, you know, intellectually interesting discussions with people that will keep you engaged and connected with them and enjoying their company. When you have a situation like that, we can say that you are experiencing intellectual loneliness. Then we have spiritual loneliness, which can be, um, you know, very dangerous sometimes, because in such situations you find people who just feel detached from everybody else, and they have no relevance. They don't feel that life is relevant. They don't feel that it's important to be with people. You find such people making statements like, what's the point of life? You cannot trust people, so you need to be careful, and such expressions of their spiritual loneliness can lead them to take certain decisions that can be even detrimental to their lives. And so we have that type of loneliness too that we need to look at and probably even assess ourselves and see if we are experiencing any of such, loneliness. And so, like I mentioned earlier on, because of the period we find ourselves in today, we at a point, we were asked to um, stay completely at home and not go to public places. And even now, as much as possible, we are told to keep a safe distance, from other people. And if you're a person who is used to interacting with people and, feeling connected and doing things with people, it can cause you to feel detached or rejected, or you can feel like something is missing in your life because you are not having that physical connection or frequent physical interaction with people as we used to do normally when this pandemic was not in place. But in all of this, one thing is certain, and that is the fact that whatever you find yourself feeling in a time like this should not necessarily lead you to loneliness. there are things that you can begin to do, to help you not to feel too disconnected from the people you love, whether they are families, whether they are friends. I know for a fact that there are organizations or institutions that up till now, have not asked their employers, for example, to come to work because of the COVID. And so people are having to work from home. They are not encouraged to come to the office. And so if you find yourself in a situation like that, even though you see people going about, at least relatively compared to the time we were on lockdown, you will still feel like you have been prevented from coming into contact with the people who usually make you feel warm. So there are things that we can do that can cause us, even though we find ourselves in this pandemic and things have changed, we can still use the strategies that we are using now to still keep life going, keep work going on, keep kids in school and all of that, to our benefit. And one thing is the use of technology. Hitherto, technology was one of the things that people even felt that it was making people draw away from physically interacting with other people. And you find that people will complain when you spend much time on the internet or on your phone without talking to people, physically. But now in the wake of COVID-19, we find ourselves spending a lot of time, on online. And we have had to do that because we are trying as much as possible to practice social distancing so that we can prevent the spread of the virus. But I mean, at what point would you use the device to your benefit, and still keep sane and still maintain your social connections? That is one thing we need to look at. So we'll look at a situation that we call distant face-to-face, where in a time like this and in a period where we are limiting our face-to-face interactions, you can still have some, activities that will help you to stay connected to people. So for example, you can see in this picture here, a man blowing the candles on a birthday cake, or so it seems, and there's a PC, that is a laptop in front of him. That shows us that he's probably doing a video, call or chat with a loved one or whoever may be on the other side. And that person can tell that this person is either celebrating their birthday and is doing something, and they can still connect and celebrate that moment, so that even though the person is not physically in front of you, through this video chat and this way of doing the celebration, you still feel like there are people out there who are wishing you well, and they are with you, and you can celebrate with them and not just with yourself. And so this is one of the ways that we can prevent, loneliness, especially if you are alone, in your home or at a place where you will not have access to other people at all. You could use, the online or the technology to your advantage by engaging in things like that. You can keep up your intellectual, activity, or yes, intellectual activity by doing some research into topics or areas that you are interested in, even though you may find yourself alone, or probably you may have lost your job, or you are working from home and sometimes you feel bored. You can find time and do some research on issues that you think they are beneficial and will keep you um, warmed up and feeling like you are being useful, and that alone will keep you away from feeling lonely. And as you do that, it is good to engage other people by showing videos of yourself, and getting other people involved in what you are doing and sharing whatever you have found out, either through your research or what new thing you're doing. You share such things with people, and you will feel fulfilled that you are not alone. Now, the other thing that is very important that we can do is practicing cyber kindness instead of cyberbullying. So you find that sometimes when you go on the net, for example, and I'm using the net a lot because in this week of COVID-19, most of us are doing a lot of things online. Even, religious bodies are doing a lot of services online. People are having programs online like we are doing now, on Zoom and other things. And it's important to get involved and post comments, but those comments must be kind words, and once you do that, you will be surprised that you'll be creating a network of people who will also help you to feel like you're contributing something good, and you are liaising with people who are becoming part of your day-to-day life. They become family even though they are far away, so you send messages or comments, and other people also respond, and that becomes like an interaction that is going on as if you were meeting face to face. So you can practice that, and that can be very helpful. And also, these are times that you can also join all sorts of uh, groups, because in these times, you find that people have devised ways of keeping their social connections. And so you have all sorts of groups coming up. Lately, there was a group that I joined in that was looking at how to help with children who are doing homeschooling, and these are parents who were worried, and they came together and found somebody who was good with online tuition to keep updating them and teaching them what to do, how to help their kids and things like that. And I thought that it was very good. There are also groups that are organizing cooking classes for people who are interested. There are Bible study fellowships that are, having online groups, and all sorts of group. The very new one I got to know recently was, a group that was put together to address health concerns, particular health issues, and if you, for example, if a group that was dealing with diabetic patients or people who had diabetic conditions, and they would discuss, the condition, treatments that other people had taken, the effects it had had on them, and all sorts of very interesting feedback that people were getting in joining those groups. And so you realize that even though a lot has changed with our time, because of, COVID-19, um, as dynamic as we are as human beings, we have found ways to still continue to live and to enjoy our interactions together. So if you're a person that you're feeling lonely, you need to begin to look at some of these areas so that you can reconnect and try to live your world of just being you and nobody else, because living that way can bring real challenges, not just socially, but even mentally. It can begin to tell on you. It can cause you to start behaving funny, even when you are in the midst of people. And so these are some of the things that we can uh, do to keep away from being lonely. Then we can also nurture our relationships. It is not always the case that you need to physically meet somebody to connect with a person and to, get to know the person. Sometimes it's just a call away. So in a bid to prevent your own loneliness, you can help others by reaching out to them and forming relationships. Get to know people, um, call them, speak with them, have a chat with them if they have the time. Make yourself available for interactions if you can. And once you do that, you realize that with time you build a community of relationships that will keep you busy and keep you connected and keep you feeling very useful, and that can help a lot. There's also the strategy of downloading a lot of useful apps that can help, kill your boredom. If you think you are feeling bored and you are feeling lonely, there are apps that can now teach you all sorts of languages. There are apps that can teach you to, like I mentioned earlier on, cook, for example. There are apps that can help you learn new skills, that you can uh, begin to engage in. And as you do that, you will be surprised that you will find meaning for a lot of things in life, even though you may not be doing a lot of physical moving around or physical, uh, you know, contacts with people. Having something to do definitely prevents loneliness. Now, how can we confront loneliness? Because sometimes staying at home with, very little physical contact with people can cause you to, create a feeling of not being part of the larger group of people. And it can lead you even into depression, where you have symptoms like losing your appetite and or overeating as a result of, the psychological effect it will have on you. And so it is important that you recognize it when you have these signs of feeling lonely. When you are easily bored, you're easily feeling like you are worthless or nobody cares about you and nobody is checking on you. The moment you begin to see these signs, you realize that there is something happening, and then you confront it and look at ways you can alleviate that kind of feeling by engaging in some of the things we have talked about. Now, when it comes to nutrition, you'll be surprised that some people, when they are feeling lonely, begin to eat so much, and they do not pay attention to healthy eating. They sometimes can be all alone and probably just being in their own room, bedroom, or something, and the whole day they may not even take enough water or walk out to do anything, you know. And at the same time, you have other people who, out of loneliness, will just stay indoors and be eating anything at all with no regard for, you know, the health implications of some of the things they are eating. So uh, loneliness is expressed in many forms in many people. And once you see it coming, you begin to identify these symptoms. You need to pay attention to it. You need to pinch yourself and tell yourself, this is happening. What can I do to alleviate it, so that you engage in healthful, you know, habits that can help you um, come out of this kind of um, lonely um, feeling. Then the other thing you can do is, when you're lonely, one of the things that happens is that you tend to probably sleep a lot, or you sit doing nothing. You don't have the energy, the energy, the excitement, the enthusiasm to do a lot of things. So you just sit around, and that is not physically good. And so it is good to find time to take regular walks, have a routine. You know, you can do it alone, or if you have people around, you can join groups, or, you know, have the whole family go for a walk or do something. Create your own exercise equipment, or, you know, strategies, so that you can just be doing something that will keep you moving, thinking, and appreciating the environment around you and the people that are around you, you know. So uh, looking at your physical health is also very important to prevent the feeling of loneliness. Then also, sometimes you'll be surprised that when you are feeling lonely, it can cause a lot of stress. And when that happens, you may think that sleep will be sweet, but there are people who can go the whole night and may not sleep enough, because there's all sorts of things on their minds, you know. So it is good to look at that and give yourself enough rest. If you think that overexposure to news and the chaos going on around you is a factor in causing you to feel lonely or to be in that situation, then you need to keep yourself away from things like that, so that you can rather engage in activities that are pleasurable to you. You know, it's all in your mind. So you need to replace negative thoughts or things that give you negative energy with positive thoughts and things that will cause you to take on pleasurable activities, you know, when you start feeling those kind of symptoms. Then also, it is said that when you keep a clean environment, you know, it has a way of impacting your mental health. And so clean your environment. Make sure that you organize the things around you. That is not to say that because of that you begin to engage in excessive cleaning and getting yourself so busy, then you become tired again. But just keep a healthy, clean environment, so that your mind is also free and appreciative of a clean air around you, organized environment, and that alone will help you to get a very warm feeling that your you have, it has a way of impacting on your self-esteem and, you know, your health and everything. You know, when you have a clean environment around you, when things are organized around you, when you plan your activities, what you would do and all of that, you just have a sense of purpose and clarity in everything you're doing, and that can help in times of loneliness. Then another thing that is important to know is that at all times when you are feeling lonely, it is also good to look to God. Now, admitting that you're lonely is not a weakness. And so, as for example, the psalmist says, you know, in Psalm 25:16, where the psalmist is saying that, "Turn to me and be gracious, for I'm lonely and afflicted." It's just a way of expressing, you know, the what the psalmist is feeling inside. And so whatever you are feeling, if you're a religious person, it's good to express that feeling to the God that cares for you. And so I have put here a number of scriptures, for example, for those who believe in God. And this alone can be comforting in times when you are feeling a lot of anxiety, or you feel rejected or abandoned, or you feel like you're all alone in this world and nobody cares for you. And so you begin to have all those negative emotions, you know. These kind of quotes, scriptures, find, you know, messages that can encourage you, lift up your spirit, and also help you to have a good focus on life and the fact that it is a good thing to be alive and to be in good health. And there's a higher being that cares for us no matter what. And my favorite of this is the Psalm 27:10 that says that, "Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me." Even if you find yourself in the midst of people that you feel disconnected from, because of one thing or the other. They could be friends, but probably they are in cliques and nobody's paying attention to you, or you may be the odd one out in a family, or you may be a person that does not have friends and you feel socially disconnected. When you have scriptures like this, it helps you to always find strength to accept yourself and also accept the people around you. Remember that if you do not accept yourself and have a good feeling about yourself, it is very difficult for you to connect with people and enjoy, you know, their relationship with them. So that is another way. So to conclude, loneliness can creep upon anyone at any time, especially during this era. And so it's important for us to understand and accept these things and know that it is something that we cannot really do much about, but our response to the times will cause us to either feel that it is having a negative impact on us, or it is an opportunity to look out for other good things in this life. So make it a priority to stay healthy, both mentally and physically. And remember that we are all in this together. So stay strong and know that God has promised never to leave us nor forsake us. This phase of life too shall pass. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Rev. That was something. I really learned a lot. And I would like all of us to put into the chat how you're also dealing with loneliness, what kind of things you're doing, because this is a very important platform for us to glean from each other. I think one of the things that is helping some of us also is counting our blessings, because you
Mm,
can choose to look at all the bad things happening around you, and you can also choose to look at all the good things. So it's a choice.
that's
And
it.
whenever you decide to look at the good things, it brings you some joy. In fact, we know that every time we decide to be thankful, the brain releases the happy hormones like dopamine in our bodies, and they energize us and make us joyful. So
Mm,
Thanksgiving is not just, oh, I'm counting my blessings, I'm thanking God, but even physically, it has an impact on your body, and it is a positive one. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll look at the comments after we have heard the second part of the presentation. And we have Dr. Genevieve Seydu, who's a pediatrician, with us to do the second part of the presentation. Dr. Genevieve, please, are you there? Dr. Adam, kindly stop your screen share. And then thank you very much. Dr. Genevieve Seydu, please, are you there?
Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
I am.
All right. Do you want me to screen share for you all? Okay, good. We're happy to.
Mm,
Yes, we can see.
okay. Okay. So you can see the screen.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So my name is Genevieve, and I want us to discuss preventing injuries in children at home. Um, so what was advertised was preventing accidents in children at home, but I've tweaked a little to injuries, because when you say accident, it makes it sound like it's a random event by per chance, or you don't have any control over it and it's not predictable. But when you say injuries, it's something that you can control, can predict, and reduce in the home. So injuries are common, and it's one of the common preventable deaths among children and adolescents. And WHO actually says that after the first year of life, injuries are one of the major causes of death among children. Now, if a child gets injured, if they do not die, they either get a temporary dysfunction or disability, or a permanent disability that stays with them for life. So let's say a child gets burnt at home from a hot soup or something. That child may be scarred for life and may live the rest of his life with the scars. So for every injured child who dies, there are several thousand who are actually named with various degrees of disability. Now, where do these accidents happen or injuries happen? Interestingly, even though the home is one of the safest places we can think of, it also presents a lot of opportunities for children to be injured. And as you can see from the pictures, from sharp knives to electrical wires to even medications that you've been prescribed to take. Maybe grandmother stays with you, has hypertension, diabetes, something. You yourself are taking some medications and it's there, especially the sugar-coated pills. The children can take it and take it as if they are taking pebbles or toffees, and then end up getting poisoned from these drugs. So the home is even though it's supposed to be a safe environment, is one of the areas that children can be severely injured. There's a study that was done among looking at childhood burns in Ghana by SN a man called S. Fojo. And he realized that he did this study in Kumasi and realized that among 630 children, 92% of the children that got burnt were actually burnt at home. They had their injuries at home, and majority was either in the kitchen or in the home yard. And most of the burns were because of hot liquids that the children were exposed to. Now we have COVID-19. Reverend already talked about some of the effects that COVID is having on us. So COVID, we are advising that a lot of people stay at home. So the children actually are staying at home also. They are not going to school, especially the younger children. So they have a lot of time on their hands to explore the home, to explore all the corners of the house. And so would also uncover dangers in the home. When parents are also at home, they are either working from home or they are working from home. So their minds are divided to supervise a child, or and then also concentrating on their work. So COVID has brought its own challenges with making the home environment danger prone. So just a few examples, and these are real life events that I encountered in my with children that were brought in having been injured at home. So a mother has a newborn baby. Baby is breastfed, lying on hello.
Jennifer,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Screaming. Can you hear me?
Sorry, we missed you for a while because I muted everybody.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
Yes,
I
I
was
think
just giving
like
some scenarios. I was just giving some scenarios on how injuries can be common in the home. So I was saying that these are real life events on children that I encountered being brought in who were injured. So a mother has a newborn baby, she's breastfed, the baby is lying on the bed. She turns around to get something from the next room, and then before she could say Jack, the baby is crying because the older two siblings, the 5-year-old and 7-year-old, running around the house, have unintentionally pushed the TV set onto the baby, and now baby is injured. He has a swelling on the head, bleeding under the scalp, and is brought into the baby's unit. Now there's another scenario. Mother has prepared soup for the house. She takes it off the stove. Then the next thing is that her 4-year-old comes crashing into her because he's being chased by the older sibling. Now the hot soup pours on the child, and the child is brought in injured. That's how easy it is for children to be injured at home. My slides are not moving. Okay.
technical hitch there.
Nancy, please, can you move the slides for me? It's not moving.
Okay, then I have to screen share.
Okay, okay now. It's
All right.
okay.
Okay.
So where do we draw the balance in protecting our children from not getting injured at home and also allowing them to explore their environment and learn from the experiences that they gain. So I found this quote, which I think puts it all together, trying to draw the balance between learning and being overprotected as a parent. So it says that don't rob your child of the educational value of his minor injuries. If you reward him yes, or his bruises or his bleeding with honeyed words or sweets, he'll probably forget his lesson and may only remember that playing with fire begets cookies. Okay. So a lot of the injuries that happen at home are unintentional. Unintentional means it just happens, you don't intend it for it to happen, and it just happens, about 90% of it. And interestingly, we tend to have a higher incidence in lower to middle income countries than in the higher income countries. So that means poverty plays a big part in um, children being injured. So if you take a home where the parents are not very well to do, the home design itself, the setting of the place poses danger. So let's say instead of having a stove that is at a height, you would have to the family would have to make do with firewood, which is an open source on a lower level where children can be easily injured. When you take gender, generally boys are more inquisitive, more adventurous, more risk-taking than girls. So as children age, the incidence of injuries tend to be higher in boys than girls. But in the first year, first to 4 years of the child's life, the gender, there's not much difference in injuries among the two sexes. Now, what makes children more susceptible to injury? First, children are curious. They want to explore their environment. They want to learn about their environment, where they are. So they're always moving around, doing, searching for things or finding out something. But they also are very innocent, and they tend not to realize danger. It's only with time that as they grow, they get to know what is dangerous, what is not. Then again, their size makes them less visible on the road environment. So let's say you are reversing your car out of your garage. Somebody has to be looking. Probably your little child has followed you out. If the child is behind the vehicle, there's no way you would see that child. And before you know, you would have seriously injured the child. Again, their size makes them vulnerable in the sense that what an adult person may take, and it won't cause any problem if you take poisons. The same amount to a child would be very toxic to the child. Children, their skin is not as robust or thick as adults, so if they are exposed to hot liquids or dry heat, their skin burns more deeply and also quicker, so they can get severe burns. Again, there are airways. When I say airway, where air passes to get into the lungs, so all the pipes, from the nostril down the throat, the trachea into the lungs. Because they are small, their pipes are also small, so small things can also choke them. So just even a granite or peanuts size to a 2-year-old can choke, that child can choke on it, whereas for an adult, it would not cause much problem. So depending on the age of a child, it tends to influence the kind of injury the child would have. So the toddlers, 1 to 3-year-olds, they are now learning to walk. They are not very steady on their feet, so they tend to have falls a lot, injury from falls. They also are prone to burns and drowning. When you take babies up to from 0 to about 6 months, 8 months, they can wiggle, they can roll over. So if you leave them at a height, unsupervised, they can actually roll over and fall. If they are school going age children, then risk for pedestrian injury is high. Burns, again, drowning is also significant among that group. Um, Also, there's socioeconomic factors. I've already talked about poverty. Single mother who is stressed out, taking care of child, working, may have very divided attention, and so may end up would have the risk to the child in being supervised and avoiding dangers may not be like in a home where you have a father also helping with the care of the child. Now, this is a question, don't really have the answer to it. Has the incidence of home injuries increased during COVID-19 era? Well, I don't have any statistics for that, but in my hospital, I've observed that a lot more children are coming in with burns and poisons. And actually, in the eastern region, other facilities are also tending to see the same trend. So there's actually the Pediatric Society of Eastern Region is considering taking it up and to raise more awareness about dangers in the home and injuries to children. So now let's discuss how we can avoid these accidental injuries in the home. So drowning, it sounds far-fetched, but children below 5 years can drown in as little as just 3 centimeters of water level. So having buckets of water around the house is not safe when you have a toddler in the home, because they could just stand by the bucket. The next minute they trip over and fall head in. That child will drown before you can. If nobody is around, that child is good as dead. If you have problems with water in your area, you have to store water, then you should store it in big barrels that you can cover with something that a child cannot easily move. If possible, then you pipe it so that if you have a poly tank or a barrel, then you pipe it so that you draw the water through pipes rather than having it open. Again, wells uncovered are a danger to children. I think recently there was a news article where in Bowie, a child was a 2-year-old drowned in an open well. If children have to be around swimming pools, please use flotation devices so that even when they do know how to swim, please use it. So and supervise them. The fact that a child can swim is not a guarantee that the child is safe in water. Anything can happen. So children around water should be supervised. If possible, teach your children how to swim. It's helpful, but like I caution, swimming is not a guarantee that a child cannot drown. And for the teenagers, they should avoid alcohol when they're around the pool. Fires, burns. Oh dear. So somebody posted that somebody drowned in a Veronica bucket. So children can get burned easily. Their skin is not as robust as an adult. So it burns deeply and then it burns quickly. So they can get burned from dry heat, from liquid heat. So as you see in the picture, when toddlers actually should not be in the kitchen. And then you have to always make sure that the handle of your saucepan is turned away from the edge so that they don't pull at it to topple the hot fluids on them. if possible, you can have smoke alarms if possible, then it's also safe to have. Then another thing that a lot of people do is when they are mixing a bath, trying to get warm water to bathe the child or anybody, they pour the hot water first, then now pour cold water in. Now that's the time that while you pour the hot water in, by the time you get the cold water, something has happened, and now the child is either in that hot water or splash the hot water on himself. So the best thing to do is rather have cold water first in the bucket. Then when you pick your hot water straight into the cold water, it's being mixed as you are pouring the hot water in the cold water. Don't leave hot water in the bucket first now before you fetch the uh, cold water to mix. Then when you have a child who is burned, please stop using what's it, toothpaste. People put please just take the child down with water, but do not put toothpaste, snail, crushed snail, all kinds of things. It's not helpful. It infects the wound and then makes the treatment of the burns even harder. Falls. So again, as you see in the picture, little is using the
Am I the only one breaking, or Genevieve is breaking?
It's breaking.
All of us. Okay, so when it stabilizes, I'll ask her to take it again. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Genevieve, can you hear me? Hello, Genevieve, can you hear me?
So four or things for them affecting their own something. Hello, I can hear you. Am I breaking?
You've been breaking since you moved on to this slide. So it'll be good if you took it again from the falls. Hello? Oh, looks like we lost there. Okay, so we'll give it a few minutes to rejoin. I think the network is so bad.
Hello.
Yes, yes, Genevieve, right there.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay.
But we
So,
can't see your screen.
you can't see my screen.
You want me to share your screen?
Okay, share it from your end.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so
We're at
I was
falls.
talking about the falls.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, so can you move the slide to that? Hello.
Yes, I am.
Are you on that slide?
No. Yes, we are there.
Okay. So the falls, you see in the picture, this little boy who is climbing the drawers of a cabinet to reach something on top of the drawer. Now, if this cabinet is not fixed to the wall, this child can easily pull the drawer onto himself. And by the time you reach there, this child is seriously injured. If you have a window, try not to put furniture close to the window. They'll step on that furniture to reach the window. We should try and also have guards around the windows, window guards, so that even if they do climb up there, they won't fall out of the window. Okay. My slides are I'm not seeing the slides from here. Okay.
Genevieve, we're on poisoning.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We're on poisoning.
Okay. Now let's go back to the floors. Another thing I wanted to say about the floors is that let's keep the floors dry. The children can trip over and easily fall. If you have a baby 6 months to 8 months, try not to leave that child on a high surface unsupervised. The child can roll over and fall. We should try and keep the floors also clear of the toys. The child can slip over the toy also and then fall. If the children are using bicycles, they should, if possible, wear a helmet that fits, so that even if they do fall, they don't seriously injure their head. Now, poisons. Poisons are also common in the homes. Sometimes it's just from medications that we are taking. You've been prescribed some medication, grandmother has been prescribed some medications, is in the house. The children, they don't see what's dangerous. So especially for the sugar-coated ones, they take it as pebbles and then just keep taking it. Before you know, they've taken a whole bottle of it, and that can be poisonous to the child. So as much as possible, drugs should be stored away under lock and key, if possible, in a cabinet or drawer, locked up. Then the drugs should also be put in child resistance lock. So these are hard to open. Again, kerosene and caustic soda, pesticides, sometimes because of the work parents do, some of these things will be in the house. They should be stored properly away from the children. They either at a height they can't reach or locked up. Also, bleach, toilet cleaners and household bleach should also be secured, because the children can easily access them if they are in reach. And
Excuse
then
me, Genevieve. Can everybody see the screens, please? The slides.
No.
can't see this.
The slides
I
are
can
not
see your
showing.
slide, but it's been on the same slide for a long while.
What's on the slide that you can see?
The child with the bruised leg in POP and
I
one
see.
so bad.
Okay, all right.
Preventing injuries in children.
Being poison.
Okay. I'm going to stop share and then start again. Please be patient with us.
Hello.
Oh, are you there, Genevieve?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Please, can you all see the screen now?
It's still on the first slide.
Exactly. It's still on the same slide.
Okay.
Okay, so move it to the poisons.
Okay, which means everybody can see now.
Yeah.
Yes, the slides are moving now.
Okay, thank you for the feedback.
Forget to poison.
Okay.
That's the fear of the house.
Interesting. Now the mouse is also playing catch with me.
Color, no? I hope you not cry. You. Don't you cry
Poison.
tomorrow, eh?
Okay, there you are.
Okay. Okay.
Please, are we all good?
I can go on.
What happened to our boy? What happened to him?
Hello.
Slide 16 on poisoning, yes.
Just a fly.
Yes, if you
Okay.
can make it
A
bigger,
mere fly.
slideshow.
Nancy.
It's not a slideshow.
No, it's not.
Not
And
yet.
then it's the network because it's on slideshow at my end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so you can present. I'm sure when the network picks up, we'll be fine.
Okay, so I was talking about poisons, and I was saying that prescription drugs should be stored in child-resistant seal, so that it's not easy for the child to open them. And it should also be secured in cabinets under lock, or yes, it should not be easily accessible to children, because if not, they will take it, and before you know, those drugs are actually causing what causes poisoning in the child. Another thing we should try to do is we should teach our children to drink from a cup. If you teach your child to drink from a cup, when they see bottles, they won't just put it straight to their mouth. Especially these, sometimes people store kerosene in Fanta bottles and all that. They pick it, they know they drink from a bottle, so the next thing they pick it and then they are drinking from these. Let's teach the children as early as possible to drink from cups rather than drinking from a bottle. And if a child drinks any poison, ingest anything, either kerosene, the toilet cleaner, bleach, whatever it is that you think the child has taken, please do not give palm oil. That's another thing we do so often. We give palm oil to induce vomiting. When you do that, as the vomit is coming up, sometimes the children choke on it and then it goes down into their lungs. And that even causes more injury than the poison itself that they've ingested into their stomach. So please let's avoid giving palm oil. And some of the poisons actually, if you induce vomiting, you even cause more erosions up in the child's esophagus. That's a tube down the chest before it gets into the stomach. So let's avoid giving palm oils when we think the child has ingested something. Please move on to the next slide. Hello. Next slide, please.
Yeah, they're choking.
Yeah, so choking. So I earlier said that children's airway or pipes where air passes through are smaller than adults, so they can easily choke on things. So especially for children under 5 years, to try to avoid peanuts, granuts, popcorn, because they can choke on them. And then for the little babies, let's try to decongest their cot, those cuddly toys and cushions and pillows and heavy quilt. It can actually cause suffocation in the baby. So let's clear those things out when we put the babies in bed to sleep. And if possible, place the baby on his back rather than turn the baby face down on his abdomen when you are putting the baby down in the cot, because they can suffocate and die when you put them in that position. The next slide is on road traffic accidents. So we don't have roads in our home, but we do move the car from the house before it gets onto the road. Some persons, to their house, the road is just in front of the house. So as part of the home, the yard, if you have to reverse your car out, please make sure there's an adult who is looking at your back to see that there's no child standing there or lurking around the back, because you won't see when you are reversing, especially the toddlers. And then let's not put children in the front seat when we are driving out, because the front seat, when you do crash or there's a crash injury, the seat, the what's that thing? The airbag, when it comes out, can actually crash that child in the front seat. So the best place to put children is in the back seat. And then always make sure the children are restrained in their seat, either by using the car seat. There are other seat boosters that you can use for children older than a year, apart from the car seats that we are used to. That would help strap the child properly in the car before you move out. And then if as a child goes around 6 years on, please teach the child how to cross the road, so that they don't also get injured when they are moving out of the house or on the road. So as you can see, the home presents a lot of opportunities for children to be injured. And so as parents, it's our duty to make the home safe for the children, because when the injuries do occur, some of them are serious and have a long-term effect on the child. I'd like to end here, and if there are any questions, we can answer that. Thank you, and sorry for the technical hitches.
Wow, Genevieve, thank you very much. This has been very, very educative. I think that we really have a lot of work to do in keeping our children safe. Once again, let me apologize for the breaks, the technical breaks. And let me take a few comments so that we can now open up for whatever discussions we want to have. All right, so from Abagaze, it says lots of salient. So I'm starting from Reverend Adam's presentation. It's a lot of salient points and good presentation. Thank you, Dr. Adam. And Dr. Adam talked about clean home, clean environment, that it's mentally healthy. Indirectly, we have this soundness of mind when we have a clean home, a clean environment. But she did also say that we shouldn't over clean. Okay, so she loves that point. Several people also said they love that point. And then she talked about having a friend in Jesus. For those of us who believe in Jesus, whatever faith, whatever you believe in, I want to believe that there's some comfort that you find in your faith. So we got Eleonora, Africanada Hub, Vivian, Nemo, all appreciating that clean environment point. Thank you, Rev, for that. And then Barbara Mills Graves also says, thank you, Adam, for pointing out that admitting is not equal to weakness. It's true. Sometimes we find it hard to admit all of these things, even though you may be feeling lonely at one point or the other, or maybe not lonely per se, but bored. But now we know that there are so many things you can do when we feel bored. And it's true. There are so many groups, so many networks. I joined a group where somebody was teaching how to make animation videos for free. And that's something. And it's been very exciting. All sorts of videos being taught. So there are platforms teaching how to cook certain foods. There are platforms teaching other stuff that may be of interest to us. I think that's a positive aspect of social media that we have to take advantage of in these times. Thank you very much for the spiritual aspects of the presentation. As Joyce Meyer will say, the mind is a battlefield. Thank you, Africanada, for that point. Yes. So it's all appreciation for that. Cooking, cleaning, and linking with family every Sunday on Zoom. Okay, so that's how Mrs. Abaufori manages, especially her Sundays, so she doesn't get bored. Okay, so Elizabeth says, thank you very much, Angela. You love the point on counting your blessings. Thank you. Yes, we'll share the materials. If you kindly drop your email in the chat box, we will share with you. But you can also check our YouTube channel, All for Jesus. We've got lots of videos there on all the past Happy Healthy Home series we've been presenting. Okay, so Barbara shared with us that she's learning how to sew and she's finding it very interesting. Thank you. I think one of the things I want to learn to do is also how to bake. So I'll be visiting YouTube shortly. Okay. The figures on accidents, yes, they were staggering indeed, which means that parents have to really sit up and do the needful.
Hallelujah.
Yes, so about drowning, one child did drown in a Veronica bucket, and that's serious because you're using Veronica buckets now, which means that we have to all be careful with these Veronica buckets. You don't know when a child is going to drown in it. And then thank you, Dr. Banka also has made a point about accidental poisoning from storing liquid hand sanitizer in Baltic bottles. In fact, hand sanitizers, you have to be careful because of the alcohol in it. If you take it to your kitchen, you are setting up yourself for burns, fire. So even as I talk about burns, let's think about the hand sanitizers and the kitchen fires and all that. So thank you, Dr. Banka, for that point. Okay, the rest about the technical hitches. Yes, and then the palm oil bit. We see that a lot in the hospitals. And we're advising that it's better not to use the palm oil. Okay. Yes, Africanada Hub makes a point that all parents in the country should hear this. It's unfortunate that only those privileged are on this Zoom. How can this need be made available to those in the villages who have no access to Zoom or social media? I think that's for all of us to think about. If you have any ideas, you can unmute yourself and share, or you can drop your point in the chat box. How can we reach out to those in the village as well? Thank you. Very informative presentations. Okay. Dr. Genevieve, somebody is asking that if palm oil is forbidden, what first aid can they give? What can they do immediately? So Dr. Genevieve, you can take that. It's forbidden. What do you suggest parents can use just in case the children poison themselves on bleach and all those? But the thing is, we have to try as much as possible to not let this happen. Because when it happens, some of these household chemicals, what happens is that when the child drinks it, depending on the quantity, if it's a lot, they get sores in their throat. And as the sores heal, it closes up their throat. So we've got situations where children have to go to surgery just to open up their throat because they got to a point where they could only take liquids, and at the point they couldn't even take anything at all because the throat was actually closed. So even though, yes, we want to talk about the first aid, but we want to say that let's try to keep these things out of the reach of the children. Over to you, Dr. Genevieve.
Okay. So
what can be administered in case of poisoning before getting to the hospital?
Okay. At home, maybe what you can administer is probably milk if you have milk. Apart from that, try not to give anything, or try don't try to induce vomiting. I think what the palm oil is supposed to serve is to induce vomiting so that whatever poison the child has taken is brought out. But that's not safe. So if possible, don't give anything. Just pick whatever the child has consumed, whether it is drug or cleaner or whatever it is, and bring it to the hospital. That way, it would help the doctors know what chemical has been ingested and give the appropriate intervention. But if you have to give anything, probably just milk. Not to induce vomiting, is to reduce the absorption of the chemical that the child may have ingested by hospital.
Okay, thank you very much. So Prela says that her 2-year-old knows how to unbuckle a seatbelt.
Rather,
What can she do to ensure that she's buckled up always?
ah,
Genevieve, do you have any
wow.
suggestions? Or this to all of us, so please.
Uh,
You can unmute yourself and speak if you have an answer. If you have a
I
strategy that you use.
yeah.
Um, hello.
I think if the
Yes.
child can unbuckle, then you probably should sit the child. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who is on the floor now? Is it Dr. Genevieve or somebody
Oh,
else?
okay. After Genevieve, this is Dr. Bank after Genevieve.
Okay, I think we've lost her, so you can continue.
Yeah, I think what helps is that you can keep the child distracted. When the child is sitting in a car and is buckled up, you can give the child a book or a toy or something to distract the child. Because they feel strapped in, they are not busy doing anything that they want to come out, they are fidgeting. But if you give them a book, a toy, while or try talking to them, singing with them, try to distract them, they will not unbuckle. And that would also, it's very important to start very early. When a child is used to being buckled, and it's consistent, they would understand that, as long as I'm going into a car, I need to stay buckled. But if
Wow.
you do it sometimes, then, other times you don't, and, different people, dad allows you to, be in the car without being buckled, but mom insists on it, you wouldn't, kids need the consistency. And
Wow.
the second point is you asked about, for those who are in the villages and don't have Zoom, etc. How do you reach them? The old-fashioned way. For me, for example, if something to do with our health, that you go out to the market or whatever, you just share, just talk to people about it. Say, oh, do you know this new thing that is coming out? Something has come up. A new thing has come about, our health or whatever. Just share it. Just talk to people about it. Just discuss it. That has worked for me, especially in this COVID times, because people have a lot of ideas about how we should behave, what they should drink. I deal with adolescents, and for some reason initially they talked about um, uh, alcohol being killing the COVID virus. So we had these adolescents drinking aperitif because they thought, if I drink it, then it's in my blood. The virus can't get me, And so these are things that you talk to people about. Whenever you have anything you can share, we have an obligation to just, share with people who may not have gotten the information the way we did. Okay.
Wow. So I see Dr. Banka is an action woman. She just does the action as she moves. Unlike some of us who want to be calculated before we hit. I think it's good to try to do both and not just be a stereotype person who's always waiting for an appropriate time to hit. In these times, yes, we really have to be doing all this talking as we go along, especially when you get to a place where something is not being right. Definitely can't miss the opportunity. Thank you very much, Dr. Banka, for that point. I hope we can count on you to share with us another time on how we can also keep our teenagers engaged. Because it is true that when children are bored in the car, then they are looking for something to do. And then yes, I think I mean, it is true that the inconsistencies also don't help them. That's a big parenting issue, where children are getting different cues from both parents. One parent says this is okay, another parent says this is okay, and they are caught in the middle. So this, thank you very much. I hope it answers the point, Prela, and yeah, Prela. I hope this answers your point. Angela has also added that the kids can be so slippery, so you need to keep a conscious eye on them. So if possible, have somebody driving with you all the time so that the person can also help you so you don't get distracted as you're driving. Okay, so the question about palm oil has been answered. Sometimes social media can be overwhelming. That's true. That's true. And Angela, I would like to refer you to our YouTube channel, All for Jesus, the YouTube channel. We've had a presentation already on the impact of social media on mental health. So you know what to do when you find overwhelming. You can put off your notifications. You can take breaks. You can go off, you know, just so that you can catch your breath a bit and not overwhelm yourself with catching up with everything that's going on. Okay, thank you, Kwesi. Oh, it's your first time of joining. You haven't missed much. If you go to our YouTube channel, so far all that we've presented are there. You can make time and then go through. Yes. So Angela says she switches up every now and then. Thank you. And Angela is also learning new recipes and trying them out with the kids. I think the women are doing a lot of cooking. Oh, let's watch our way too, and let's exercise. So, Anna. Okay. God bless you so much, lovely ladies. Very educative session. Thank you. Every parent should know basic first aid. However, prevention of the injury in the first place is key. Well said. Dr. Genevieve, if somebody has a question for you. Activated charcoal work. Activated charcoal work. Hello, Dr. Genevieve.
Yes. Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you. Activated charcoal work.
Okay, so yeah, if you have it at home, yes, you can give it and then send the child to the hospital. So it's not giving and then staying at home. You give and then you move, and then move with the substance that the child has taken. So if you have, you can give it.
All right, thank you. And then Rayla says, thank you, Dr. Banka, for your contribution. Very necessary. And then Flaw says, personally, I remember when I was young and very hyperactive, my father never moved the car if your seatbelt is not on. Wow. We all know children like to go out in cars. So I believe in my work with most children, no seatbelt, no outing. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Are there any more questions, contributions? Would like to hear whatever is on your mind, is on your heart concerning these issues raised. Any experiences? All right. Okay. So I guess we don't have any experiences to share. Our children are safe. And so let's continue to keep them safe. And the presentations, as usual, will be shared on the YouTube channel. Sorry, somebody wants to speak.
Oh, yeah, it's me.
Okay, all right, Dr. Banka, yeah. Good.
Let's not underestimate our children. You'll be surprised what they can do, what they will climb. So let's not underestimate them at all. I had an experience yesterday. My little boy, he likes pouring mouthwash, just a lot of it. So we put it up in the cabinet in the bathroom. He came this morning, he had actually put a stool, stood on the toilet and stood on the cabinet and gotten it. I didn't think he could do that. So let's not underestimate them at all.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And so, um, well, having exhausted all the points, we would like to wind up.
Dr. Nancy, I'd like to say one thing.
Sure, go on.
With the babies who are developing as well, we don't know when they'll be able to do some, like have a skill. So we must be mindful of them as well, because their development sort of springs onto us like a surprise. Before you know it, this baby who was probably crawling or walking and unsteadily is now climbing, opening cupboards, trying to fidget and look into things. So we have to also be mindful and keep things out of their reach. And if they are climbing, we just have to keep an eye on them. Even climbing out of cords and all that, we have to be very mindful because they are very skillful. Yeah.
Indeed, and I think in the past few days we've seen some videos on YouTube of babies who were climbing heights, heights that you wouldn't expect them to climb. They were doing all that climbing. So we don't want to be going to the hospital at this time. My daughter has been also learning how to do gymnastics on at YouTube. I don't know who put it into her head, and I've been doing everything to discourage her because she's trying some very daring stints, and I keep on telling her, look, I work in the hospital. I don't want to go there as a patient. So I mean, we really have to be concerned about what they are doing now. Somebody said, my 3-year-old, that's just friend, my 3-year-old almost skated down a 21-step staircase. My goodness. I just felt an inner prompt to find him. Thank God I caught him on time. Oh dear. That's something. That's something. And yeah, I think that those who live in uncompleted houses have to be careful too, because we've seen a couple of children fall from heights at this time. And so that's important. And then somebody is asking, are there any tips for keeping very energetic toddlers safe? Dr. Shaggy, sorry, Dr. Genevieve, do you have any advice for keeping very energetic toddlers safe?
Ah, okay. I think it's just supervision. You have to keep an eye on them. I mean, you can't tie them in and say they shouldn't explore or move around. So you just have to keep an eye on them and keep things out of their reach that are dangerous to them.
Okay, so we will embrace
Hello.
that.
Yeah.
We'll embrace all that hard work in addition to all the other things we need to do to keep up in these times. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Adam. I didn't know that was intellectual loneliness, but I can imagine that if I'm on a platform that they were talking about things I didn't understand, I'll just leave because I'll feel lonely. We've been enlightened. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone. We will bring in you the next Happy Home series at the end of August, and we'll be discussing how to prevent child sexual abuse. Child sexual abuse. This is also another issue that we need to talk about in these times. I don't know how many I've encountered already, and parents are now discovering some of the things that their children were doing that they didn't know about. Somebody actually called to discuss how she had invited the brother's son over to spend some time with them, and then one day caught this 5-year-old boy trying to mount a 5-year-old son, and that was like very heartbreaking for her. And nobody would know that this 5-year-old had learned something from somebody and was now teaching another 5-year-old. And the stories are many. We can't begin talking about them here today. So catch up with us on the last Saturday of August, where we'll be discussing how to prevent child sexual abuse, and we'll bring you experts to help us deal with it. And I believe that one day Dr. Betty Banker wouldn't mind dealing with the matter of how to engage our teenagers also during this period. Dr. Banker, are you there? Hello, Dr. Banker. Okay, I know where to find her. So on that note, thank you very much. If nobody has anything to say, any contribution, any addition, God bless you for joining us. Thank you. Oh, sorry, and I'd like to acknowledge the other team members of the Happy Healthy Home. I'm sure you've been wondering the people behind the Happy Healthy Home team, the team. So we've got Reverend Adam is one of us, actually. Dr. Genevieve is also part of the Happy Healthy Home team, and then Dr. Eleonora Malfoy. Eleonora, can we see your video? You're the one we are missing today. So the four of us are the women behind the Happy Healthy Home series. But we acknowledge that we are only just facilitating, so as and when other experts are needed, we do also bring them on board. Thank you very much once again. God bless us all. Good night. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
And if you are still there, you can turn on your video so we can see you. You can give us a wave or something before you go. We love that. I can see Arabasam in her car. Jemima is there.
Bye.
Featuring Jemima Odoe. Okay, Amma, I can see you too. A couple of doctors. Thank you very much for honoring. Dr. Nyang, are you there?
Dr. Yang.
Is Dr. Nyang there? Okay, I can see it on, but she's not saying anything yet. Oh, Elizabeth Sebefia, thank you for joining us. Oh, okay, I can see Nyeko as well.
Yeah, hi, I'm here.
You can see your picture. And Abigail Hagen, where's Abigail? Hello, Flo. Hey, that's Dr. Jan. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
For joining.
Oh, okay, Rev, talk to us then. Talk to us, say something.
Yes, Rev. My face is on lockdown.
Is that Nyeko?
I've totally enjoyed this. I've just been quiet and just soaking everything in. In fact, when Dr. Genevieve was talking, I quickly opened one of my bottom kitchen cabinets and took out some camphor balls that I keep there. In the middle of her presentation, I picked it and put it in the pantry. So thank you so much.
Wow, that's something, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or tomorrow next.
No, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you so much. There are so many things we take for granted, but then you never know. So better safe than sorry.
Anyway, what do you say about these camphor balls?
Yeah.
You have to unmute
Hello.
yourself.
Hi, hello. The camphor ball. I think that, well, people keep it in their homes because they are avoiding ants and cockroaches and all that. But they can also be a danger to children. So there are a certain group of children who have a condition called G6PD. And just by, it's a genetic thing, they are born with it. And so when they are exposed to camphor, their
blood cells start breaking down such that they tend to have jaundice, their urine becomes dark colored like coke, and they get anemic, sometimes needing transfusion just because they are in contact with these camphors. So we just got to be careful when you are using the camphors. If you have a child like that, then you can't even use camphors in the house. You have to find something else to treat your ants and cockroaches, not camphor.
And I think that
That's
is
what I'll say
where
about.
we have work to do as medics, because if we are saying that uh, we are discouraging the use of camphor, and we know camphor is quite common, so what should they do?
Mhm.
What would be the alternative?
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's where we have
Well,
to
the
go to
other
work
things that
on,
can kill ants,
like
I guess
the sprays.
we have work to do. I think first off, yeah, there are sprays, yeah, at least that won't leave a lasting effect. You kill whatever it is and then you move on, rather than having it there that a child can later pick, or it will take some time before the camphor gets smaller. So if you have spray, you spray it, the smell goes away. That's it. I mean, it's not that the sprays also don't come with its own risks, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. What
Yes,
should we do with camphor? Because
and
people
that's
use it a lot, like
yes,
almost a tradition.
yes, and to break that cycle, we really have to come to a point where we say to families and parents, stop using it.